So in our living room is this coffee table. I made it a long time ago as an exercise to figure out how to weld. The legs are actually the first thing I ever fabricated. The only problem is it's not really my wife's style, so for Christmas I'm going to make her a new coffee table. She sent me this image of a table she likes. It took some digging to find it, but it's this bicephaly table by India Madhavi. So as far as I can tell, this is not an antique piece, it's a product someone's currently producing. So I'm going to be inspired by it but not replicate it. First I'm going to offset the little negative space finger things. And I'm using the golden ratio here because it just automatically makes stuff look pleasing to the eye. So the golden ratio is A divided by B equals 1.618, or A plus B divided by A equals 1.618. Now here's what I'm doing. I'm also going to switch up the leg style. I'm trying to get this done fast, so I'm not really trying to do those ellipse-shaped legs. The next morning I went to the hardwood shop and I found a board with some pretty wild grain. Normally when I'm shopping for hardwood, I'm specifically looking to avoid this type of thing, but I know this board is going to look sick. Stick around to the end of the video if you want to see a cool ratchet strap trick. I'm just getting the glue up out of the way first so I can work on the legs because they're not going to require glue up. I'm getting all four legs out of this 6/4 board that I bought. I split it in half over by the joiner because it was way too wavy to joint as one big board, meaning I would have lost a ton of thickness. So now I'm just cross-cutting the two halves into 2 legs each. For the legs, I picked a board that had much more straight and uniform grain. Now I'm just establishing the taper of the legs on the bandsaw, and I don't need to be precise here because I'm going to flush trim them. So I just ripped those plywood scraps down to make flush trim guides, and I'm just giving them a quick sand. So this stuff is fast cap speed tape, permanent adhesive. It's not actually permanent, but it is the best double stick I've found for flush trimming. I'm going with a 1/2 inch roundover here. I think in my rendering I had a bigger roundover, but any larger than this and I couldn't have used a bearing bit like this. So in my metal scraps I found this 1 by 1/4 inch hot rolled flat bar, and I'm going to use this to make mounting plates for the legs. Sculpt Nouveau Clear Guard is far and above the best clear coat for steel I've found. It's literally dry and ready to work with in like 5 minutes. And yeah, there are too many holes in a few of these. I forgot to drill 1/2 inch from the edge rather than 1 inch, since the edge of the legs will sit 1 inch inside, but no one will see it. So this Festool Rotex 150, I got really used to it at my last job. It's by far the most versatile sander that Festool makes because it's got Rotex mode for quick removal of material. That's useful for power carving with a soft pad. And on the fine mode, it's a pretty decent finish sander if you use the right paper. And people use this tool for polishing and other tasks as well. But you don't need it because Bosch makes a similar sander which you can get for like 280 bucks new. They can be tricky to find though. But this ETS 125 is Festool's best kept secret, and the reason it's a better finish sander than their ETS EC sanders, which most of my woodworker friends use for finish sanding, is because it has a smaller throw. People don't consider this one because it's the cheapest sander that Festool makes, but the only reason it's cheaper is because it has a brush motor. I like applying hard wax oil like Osmo with a white Scotch-Brite, and a tip is to leave the Scotch-Brite in the can because eventually it gets really saturated in the finish and it makes the can last way longer. table's been clamped up for a couple hours, and that's kinda all you need with Titebond 2. I know the bottle says 24 hours or 72 hours or whatever, but they have to say that because people use it to glue stress joints, or they use it for structural purposes. This is just two halves of a table glued together. It's completely unstressed, so we're good to go. So now we need to add the 40-inch radius to the ends of the table. So I cross-cut some plywood rem to the width of the table, 20 inches. I clamp it to my fixture table, which has convenient grid lines for jigging stuff up, and I mark the hole that's 40 inches away on center. Then I remove a shoelace. I tie one end to the clamp on my 40-inch mark and the other end to a Sharpie. Then I'll pull with uniform tension, marking the 40-inch radius on the ply, and then I'll take it over to the edge sander to sand. So we're going to use this template to flush trim the radius of the ends of the table. I think I had a 4-inch radius for the corners in my rendering, but it's okay. We're going to use a rattle can radius. So now I need to make a template for the other shape element in this table, and that's the little negative space finger things, we'll call them. Being pretty demanding on my bit here, but I learned woodworking in a guitar shop, and with guitars you're always plunge routing deep cavities in hardwood, so everything's always both a climb cut and conventional cut simultaneously. I guess I just have this mentality where router bits are sandpaper, they're a consumable. You demand a lot from them and then they break and then you buy a new one. I could spend all day taking 1/8 inch passes, but then what are you going to do when the bit's dull? You pay the cost of a new one to have it sharpened? Now I'm just going to give the tabletop the same 1/2 inch round over that the legs have, and I'll end the day screwing the hardware into the legs. The next day I routed some recesses for the leg hardware to sit in, and I squared up the corners with a chisel. Epoxy putty stick from Mohawk is the easiest filler to use when you have small voids. You just take a slice with your knife that's like the thickness of a stack of 4 or 5 quarters. This will waste some, but if you try to cut any less, you won't get the right ratio of hardener and filler. It's actually a solid 2-part epoxy. It's like a Tootsie Roll of hardener surrounded by filler, and you just mix it up with your fingers. You just kind of knead it until it's a uniform color and you don't see any more white. Then you just work it into your cracks and voids. They make different colors to correspond to different wood species, but for walnut I just prefer to use the black one. And then when you're done, just roll your excess into a tight ball, and this is going to be your control sample. Then once the ball is rock hard, you know you're ready to sand it. Then you can test with a little bit of water to see how your fill is going to look under finish. I'm sanding the whole table up to 180 grit with the ETS 125. Then I'll finish the bottom, attach the legs, and then sand the top to 220 and finish the top. Happy with the table, turned out great, but I decided not to finish because I remembered I had this offcut from the tabletop. I want to use it to add something to the table to go with it. And I was just trying to think of something that would go on top of a table, and I thought of a Palo Santo burning tray thing, because my wife does burn Palo Santo sometimes. So I retain the live edge and incorporate it, and I'm just removing the bark gently. After I'm done with the chisel, I switch to a card scraper to remove the punky stuff, but not to disturb the actual shape of the live edge. I can get it smooth enough to not require sanding with the scraper. So I made a quick double stick tape template to route 2 little compartments, one for placing or displaying the Palo Santo and one for burning a piece. I've got the tray thing in my vise. It's like a Kurt style vise for machining, and it's definitely not for this purpose, but I'm just using it because it's heavy. It's probably not great to get sawdust in it, but I'll lubricate it later. Alright, so the bonus ratchet strap trick is as follows. I'm going to show you how to get them like this for easy storage. So you're first going to set your ratchet at 45 degrees and you're going to make the slot for the strap bisect that angle. Then you're going to wrap your strap around the hook, periodically cinching it to remove any slack. By the way, I got this trick from YouTube user Scott Sally. So you're going to just keep wrapping it until your tail is about 18 inches in length. Then you're going to feed the tail through the ratchet, but not through the actual slot it's supposed to go into. Just feed it through so you can wrap it around the hook and then feed it through the slot. Then, keeping tension on the tail, start to ratchet it a few times. Then ratchet it without tension, and then with the tension again. And there you go. That's the tip. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to.